Ooh, what's going on, GameLeapers? It is the Jizz, and in today's upload, we're going to be going through the 10 most low-key broken, underrated champions for the next patch 12.4, which is about to hit the Rift. So to know the champions who probably won't get picked and banned nearly as much as the most obvious broken picks, but will still give you a really good chance of winning your games, make sure you stick around for the whole video. And as always, to learn and master any of these champions, make sure you check out the GameLeap website in the description and comment section, because our challenger players and coaches are uploading up to 20 videos a week for our subscribers, and these include high elo VOD analyses, courses, guides on these champions, so make sure you get that exclusive access by signing up, and let's get into this countdown. So coming in at number 10, we have a champion who isn't actually getting buffed or nerfed in 12.4. This is a champion who's really benefiting from someone else getting buffed, and this is Lucian filling the number 10 spot. So what's happening for Lucian is the fact that his best support at the moment, Nami, is getting buffed for next patch. Well, she's actually getting reverted, her E and the damage inside of it. So this is really good for Lucian, because Lucian with a Nami next to him with Electrocute, it is probably the most deadly bot lane of the bunch, and in 12.4 it's going to be back to what it was because of this Nami revert. So if you can duo with a support who likes playing Nami, Lucian Nami is back at full strength, so definitely watch out for this next patch. But ahead of Lucian, coming in at number 9, this is a champion some dude on the balance team tried to get nerfed because he got dumpstered by a one-trick Pyke in the mid lane. And that's exactly what the number 9 is on this countdown, Pyke in the mid lane. Because if we cast our minds back to the preseason, the base damage on your Q increased to 100 at rank 1, which is kind of absurd because it gives you a lot of kill potential in the early game. So this makes Pyke in the mid lane very scary. And very scary in lower elos because, let's face it, most people are not going to average 9 to 10 CS per minute, which is why Pyke in higher elos anyway can struggle, because the gold difference between you and the enemy mid laner will be way too much based on the CS. But in lower elos you can stay close to the enemy champion and just rely on kills and your roaming potential to stay in a game and carry it in the later stages. And because there are no nerfs coming to Pyke in the mid lane next patch, Pyke with Duskblade Draktar is just too good to pass up on and played nowhere near enough for the rewards you can potentially reap. So if you want to win games on one of the best snowballing champions, make sure you lock in Pyke for 12.4. Now coming in at number 8 is a champion that I certainly hope gets picked a heck of a lot more, because for Xayah players at the moment, going Lethality Xayah is really the way to go. You know, if you go critical strike with attack speed, it used to be good, but it hasn't been good for ages. But hopefully in 12.4 this is all going to change, because Riot are giving you more crit in your E. So this means that instead of getting 150% crit damage, you're getting 175%. So this is definitely a significant increase in terms of damage, but the question is Xayah still good enough to be able to be played in a solo queue environment and actually carry those games? Because let's be honest, your ultimate is still on a super long cooldown, and this is really the only form of self-peel you have, if not peel itself, because your support, especially in lower levels of play, is not going to care about you or peel you properly, even if they do want to. So hopefully this gives Xayah enough offensive potential so she can go back to building crit and attack speed, but the question still remains, is this going to make her viable? Well, I for sure hope so, and this is why she's coming in at number 8 on this countdown. But ahead of her, coming in at number 7, is a champion who you're probably going to see in the jungle for the most part, but picking Diana in the mid lane is actually a super underrated strategy. Because of the buff that came in not so long ago to her passive, so the AP ratio went up by 10%, this is really good for Diana in the mid lane. This affects your wave clear, your trading potential, your one-shot potential. This is a really nice buff, and it also helps that you deal more damage to monsters because you can clear your jungler's camps as well, whether it be raptors or wolves or even their blue buff if you really want to tilt them. Now of course you have to be careful of some champions like Galio, Veigar, and Nivea. These champions do very well into Diana because they love short-range champions and champions who bash their heads into them. So really the matchups Diana can really thrive in is those matchups where you're against a champion who wants to keep you at range. So if you can jump onto them, you have a lot more kill potential, and Diana, to be honest, lots of people don't actually know how to play against her and actually avoid dying because it's very easy to punish your opponent's mistakes and missteps. So Diana in the mid lane comes in at number 7, but ahead of her, coming in at number 6, is a champion like all the others on this list who is picked nowhere near enough for how broken he is, and this is Tahm Kench as a support. Because in 12.2, Riot tried to nerf a little bit of top lane Tahm Kench because it is very oppressive and lots of people complain about it, and give him more power in the support role. So the fact that your Q is slowing the enemy champion for more, and the fact that your damage stored in your thick skin win, well, there have to be 2 visible enemy champions nearby. So in other words, you have to be in the bot lane to get the most out of this. This means that support Tahm becomes even more viable, but guess what? He's definitely not picked enough, but when he is picked, listen to this. In high elo at the moment, he has a 56% win rate, so if that doesn't show you guys how good this champion is, then I have no idea what will. And if you are in Champ Select and the enemy team is picking a lot of dive champions, all-in champions, Tahm completely cucks them because of your ultimate. You can devour your teammate who's getting jumped on, save their life, waste the enemy team's cooldowns, so in Champ Select, pay attention to these champions before you pick Tahm, but still, he's such a versatile support so you can pick him in any game, but he comes in at number 6. Now, starting off the top 5, we're going to head to the top lane, and you could play this champion in the mid lane or in the jungle, but the role that's going to be most suited for Rumble in 12.4 is in the top lane because the buff the rider giving him for next patch. So what's happening is that your base armor is going up by 5, so it's now going to be 36. This will be on the same level as champions like Aurelia and Jax who you might meet in the top lane. So against the top lane champions who you're going to see most of the time, who will be attack damage champions, Rumble with his new base armor buff is going to have a whale of a time. Now top lane is also really good for Rumble because Rumble loves to play against champions who get into close range of it, because this means your flame spitter, you can land pretty much all of it, and also your passive, which will probably proc, giving you that extra attack speed and damage, which is actually super underrated. So if you see a melee champion locked in the top lane on the enemy team, and let's say that your own team composition, it might lack a bit of AP, so locking in Rumble in the top lane in 12.4 is going to be a very low-key broken pick. But ahead of Rumble filling the number 4 position, where we're actually going to stay in the top lane here, and you can play this champion in the mid lane too, just like Rumble, but this one is an attack damage champion, and this is Lee Sin. And Lee Sin in the jungle at the moment, especially in high levels of play, is really broken because of the new Bruiser and Fighter items. So the fact that Gore Drinker is giving you more attack damage, the fact that Death's Dance is giving you more healing based off your bonus attack damage, and the fact that Black Cleaver is giving you more attack damage and ability haste, all of these stats for Lee Sin, who thrives off of these, it is just massive for this champion. And when you throw Conqueror into the mix as well, you are legit unkillable. And these items, the huge buffs that have come in for Lee Sin, they have seen top lane Lee Sin return to the Rift, and the Blind Monk has returned with a lot of success so far. So definitely consider picking Lee Sin in the top lane or in the mid lane. And what's really great about picking him in Champ Select is that they probably think you're in the jungle. They're not going to expect you to take Lee Sin to the top lane. So in 12.4, it might be time to incorporate Lee Sin into your top lane champion pool. But the bronze medalist coming in at number 3, the champion who is the 3rd most low-key broken for 12.4, this is another champion you'd expect to see in the jungle, but actually play Viego in the mid lane and the impact you can have on a game is even greater than in the jungle. And the reason Viego in the mid lane is so good is simply because of the new Blade of the Ruined King, because this item gives you so much lifesteal and also helps you against tankier champions. And let's be honest, lots of the AP items at the moment give HP. If you're split pushing against the enemy top laner in the late game who's probably going to have HP in their kit, Blade of the Ruined King is just so impactful. And remember, this got buffed this season, so the on hit you're getting 2% extra damage, so it makes it such a good item rush. And of course, after this you have a bit of versatility as well. You could build Shield Bow if you want to go overkill in terms of the lifesteal. The shield's also really good against bursty compositions, or you could go Divine Sunderer because the enemy team just has so many tanks. So Blade of the Ruined King, pair this with Sunderer and the Spellblade passive, you are going to shred them. So Viego is back in the mid lane, guys, and let me just say that in IELO at the moment, just like Tahm as a support, he's picked really not that much, but he has a 56% win rate when he's picked in the mid lane. But ahead of Viego taking the number 2 spot for 12.4 most low-key broken champions, this is another champion who you might expect to see in a different role, and this is Gwen. So no doubt most Gwens are probably going to head to the top lane, and they're a pretty strong champion in that top lane. You're a very good duelist, you scale extremely well, and the items you can buy are in a good position as well. But believe it or not, playing Gwen in the jungle is probably going to be better, because in the top lane, guys, you can't really impact the map as much as you used to. Because the teleport change that came in, it's very hard, almost impossible to influence the rest of the map for the 14 minute mark. And by that point, some games are already decided. So by taking Gwen to the jungle, you do have that map presence. You can influence other lanes instead of just being locked in an island top lane and only seeing the enemy top laner for the first 15 minutes. But the number 1 most low-key broken champion for 12.4 is certainly one that sounds a bit too red hot, because we rarely talk about Neeko, and we're talking about Neeko in the mid lane. Of course, you can maybe even play her in the top lane or as a support, but Neeko in the mid lane just makes more sense. So what's happening in 12.4 is that the hitbox for yourself, it's going down 15. So in other words, you're going to be able to evade more skill shots. So this is really good because you're not going to die as much. Now what's also happening is that your Q's additional pop damage, this is going going up later ranks, and remember, we are maxing our Q first. So when we hit level 9, we're getting access to 20 extra base damage, which is just huge. This improves your wave clear and of course your poke and your all-ins. Really nice buff. And then what Riot are also doing, we're not stopping just yet, is that your W's cooldown is going down by 4 seconds at each rank. Now your W, don't get me wrong, you are maxing this last, but 4 seconds, that's a big chunk. That's a 20% improvement. So these buffs for Nico are absolutely huge, and I cannot wait to see how she performs in 12.4 with these huge buffs. So let me know guys in the comments who you think is going to be the most low-key broken champion for next patch. And as always, if you want us to continue to make these videos, make sure to leave a like down below. And until tomorrow's daily season 12 upload, this has been the